I just moved back to America after living away from my hometown for 7 years. So most of you know I have been in the Philippines for the past 3 years, and before that I was living in Miami, Florida. Now obviously Miami is still America, but where I was living I was surrounded by all Latin Americans, and that was the most amazing experience and basically what sparked my interest for wanting to get to see other places in the world and more importantly other cultures. So in this video I want to go over my experiences, what it's like being back here in America, especially a very small town, what it's like living in both places. So the reason why I chose to live in the Philippines for 3 years, it was never like that initially. I was living in Miami, Florida. I'm from a very small town in Michigan. Everyone's very much American, and if you're not American here, I feel like if you're a different culture, you stand out, and it's usually not in a good way. There's a lot of like bias, judgment, etc. And I felt that from a young age, and I noticed that in school a lot too. The specific school that I went to was also known to be very cliquey. You had to fit in, follow all these trends, and if you didn't, you were like, and I hated it. It did not sit right with me. Although I was young, I didn't really know what choice I had. I was like, okay, just suck it up and I'm gonna get through this. Like, just cannot wait for like school to be over with. And that's how I ended up choosing to go to school in Miami. I didn't know that at the time that I wanted to see other cultures and all this, but I just felt like my environment, I wasn't gonna learn and grow anymore. Everyone from where I'm from, they stay in the same place for the rest of their life. They do the same things. And I just feel like they're so comfortable. The word is not even content, because for me, content means like happy a bit anyways. I just feel like they're just so meh, like so neutral with their life because they are stuck in this matrix. A lot of places in America feel like that. Everyone thinks the same, has the same values, beliefs, and they're not even, like, I don't even know how to go. We'll dive into that later. Anyways, I wanted to change my environment because I think that no matter where you are born, where you're from, that it's really good to move away from even your town, whether it's another city or state, let alone country, because it's so eye-opening. You learn a lot. I've had the best experiences of my life moving away from my town. So when I first moved to Miami, I had a lot of backlash of people like, what's the word? Concern for me that, oh, you're gonna move somewhere where English is not the main language spoken. Oh, there's like, you hear all these things about what people say about other people who are not naturalized Americans. Is that even the right word? I don't know. Don't quote me. But so I heard all these things about people saying that when I was moving to Miami. So when I moved there, I realized everything that I was told and taught was a lie. When I first moved there, I was training and competing in CrossFit. So the gym I went to, within the first day, I met 3 people. They were all Colombian, and they turned out to be like my brothers and my best friends. They brought me in like I was family. And just, they had this culture and the traditions within their culture that I and my family did not have. And of course, it's a completely different place and culture, so it's not like one is better than the other. I just feel like America doesn't really have that many traditions and cultures because we are so, like, we're all descendants from Europe. So your mom's from Sweden, your dad's from Germany, and then that was 3 generations ago. So now it's just like the traditions kind of get mixed and lost, and I just feel like we're working our lives away here. We don't have time to, have all these, family values and things that are easier to implement in other countries as they have more time and prioritize life and living as much as they do working and surviving. You know what I mean? Anyways, when I saw that, I was like, wow, I can't believe what people would say about immigrants, other culture. And disclaimer, this is all my experience and my opinion. my feelings, and you're also very valid and entitled to yours. But just keep that in mind. If you want to say anything in the comment section, let's spread some love, you know. Yeah, so basically that really sparked my interest for traveling and seeing other cultures. And the guys I started being interested in were no longer white Americans. I love dark skin. And that's just my preference, you know what I mean? It's just like crazy that that's what I grew up liking, and like telling like the standards of, you know what I mean, like of who your family wants you to be with and all that stuff. So I feel like when you are around that, right? For example, when, you know, I feel like especially girls, a lot of things that we do, the moment we have this idea, God puts an idea in your head for a reason. Maybe it's your purpose, your calling, a start of something. But what's the first thing you do? Instead of acting on it or marinating on it, you tell somebody else and basically are asking for their advice. They're not you. So now they're giving their opinion and probably shooting down your goal, especially in this small town. I feel like in these small towns, people are just surviving. They're not happy. They're low key, probably miserable, and they just accept the position of the life that they are in. And instead of supporting you and telling you that your idea, like, go for it, do it, or give you an advice, you know, or they shoot it down because they don't want the chance of you being better than them so they can continue to feel better about themselves. You know what I mean? Versus when I was in Miami, I was coaching CrossFit. I eventually started coaching. And the town that my gym in was a pretty nice community. So I was coaching entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, and these people were so smart, so successful, but so kind and real. You know, they still made time to do things that were for other people and for enjoyment and for their friends. Having relationships, whether it's platonic or, you know, intimate, it requires effort, you know. So I don't know. Anyways, I started seeing the things they were doing and I was so inspired. And not only inspired, but like they were willing to let me pick their brain. And I felt like I had a lot of mentors there because everybody can eat. There is enough money in this world, enough jobs in this, you know what I mean, for everybody, not just you. It's like in my town, I felt like in order for me to be on the top, you have to be under. Like that is what is taught here in this American dream. And it's like the lifestyle forces you to be so selfish. You don't even have time for yourself. Like by the time you get home from this 9-to-5 job that is so replaceable that you can find in anywhere at any other state, but it's keeping you stuck because you're so worried about losing this miserable job. It's like you're stuck. You're literally brainwashed. And so then here you are, you're unfulfilled. At any time I have been super unfulfilled and burnt out, which I tend to do. I can burn myself out really easily. And when I'm like that and I'm not feeling good, I am not a good person. You know what I mean? Like I don't see the point of just like thriving through the day. So I'm not out here spreading love. I'm irritable. I'm not concerned with anybody else. You know, when you're in that burnt out state, it's not like, you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, that's what just keeps getting spread here, that mentality. Now, when you are actually chasing a purpose, a calling from God, whether it's so small or you're going to go full in on some business idea that you have, it's fulfilling and there's purpose and you have support. Sometimes all it takes is just one person to give you like the go sign. Like that sounds like a great idea. Yeah, do it. Or they give you a little bit of their experience and their knowledge and you start picking their brains and you are now surrounded by this like amazing, uplifting environment, you know, and it's like, I just didn't feel that from my small town. It was the complete opposite. And I noticed that coming back from my friends, what they say from the peers that they are surrounded by. It's not positivity. And I'm like, you need to change your environment and you need to stop listening to the same people who are shooting you down. I love family, but if they're, you know, not really supporting your ideas, then it's not that you don't have to like go behind their back. It's just like, then maybe you don't need to tell them or tell them until it's done. You know what I mean? Like if they're not going to be understanding of your dreams or your situation, you don't need to explain to someone because it's not worth the energy. You can basically tell them when it's done. That's basically what I would do in Miami and Philippines because I'm not around those people, my peers, my family, to let anybody hold me back. I'm so just true to what I want. You can basically start over, be who you want, and then you can tell them when it's done. Like, hey, look, I got this job. Hey, look, I did this. Like showing them the proof. You don't need to explain yourself. You know what I mean? And then I ended up in the Philippines because I really loved Miami. I did. I experienced so much. I was able to travel to Colombia, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, all with friends that I had met through Miami. So I was able to experience it like not as a tourist, but through their eyes as like a local. And it was amazing. I started learning Spanish. I actually learned a lot, almost like 80% fluent. But after 4 years, there was just a lot of signs telling me that that chapter of my life had closed. And that's exactly what I felt like in Michigan, to be able to take that step to go to Miami. So, you know what I mean? You need to trust that we are constantly changing and growing as human beings. So, what was once serving you may not be serving you now. And sometimes the hardest thing is to admit that. But when you can realize that, it's, you need to know that it's God telling you. And usually, this is, every time I've realized this, it's a very uncomfortable time in my life. It's almost always a suffering. When I have really gone through something, I wouldn't call it depression, but some really tough times that are what's going to lead to better once you can stay strong through that and be present to reflect on what it is that God is telling you you need to change or improve. A lot of people won't sit the time with themselves or look at things that they want to improve on as a human and actually do the work to improve or to heal. It's not supposed to be easy. It's hard. It's really hard. You know what I mean? But if you just keep doing the same thing, you're never going to change. And you're just going to, you know what I mean? Like get in that such a neutral, burnt out phase of life that's not worth living. So I had that feeling and I was aware of it. Anyways, one day I'm on Facebook, I'm scrolling, and I see a post that says for hiring a coach to come and volunteer in Siargao Island, Philippines, because there was a typhoon that completely knocked down their business and they are ready to reopen in 2 months. I see this post in May, so I guess it's like 3 months because I saw it in May and they were reopening in August. So I initially kind of scrolled past the post because I'm like, Philippines, like what? And then I start briefly, I was like, let me just at least apply or reply to their post. And if they even message me, then I'll think things further. Obviously, one thing led to another. I trusted it so deeply that everything happened for a reason. And I promise you, I didn't say it out loud to anybody. I thought about it myself for a few days before I wanted to make sure it was something I wanted. Because if I would have went right away and told all my friends, who knows what they would have said to me, and that could have completely altered my decision. So I made sure I knew what I wanted. Then I mentioned it to a couple very close and respectable people that I knew I would trust with their opinion, or you know what I mean. And I was receiving a lot of support from those people. It wasn't something I just some stupid idea I said out loud. I put a lot of thought in it and they valued that. But I told everybody I was going to go for 2 to 4 months. So when you do that, you don't just have to say, hey, I'm moving. And I didn't know I was going to move. I was prepared for it. I sold everything, everything. And I didn't know if it was going to be a year. I definitely did not think it would be 3 years. That's crazy. But I told everybody my job, I'll be back in 2 months, 2 to 4 months. So it makes it a lot easier. And then when you're there actually doing things and following your heart, people will understand, or the time just flies by where it's already been 2 months and when are you coming back? Oh, I don't know. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, I took the opportunity, and the first day I landed in the Philippines, I was like, I think I just made the best decision of my life. And I waited a couple weeks and that feeling wasn't fading. And when I tell you, I was just soaking it all in, and the experiences I was able to have there. The people were so similar to the Latin American culture, which I think is what allowed me to adapt so easily. Because one thing I noticed with some of my Colombian friends in Miami, they were like my brothers, so they were guys. And just the way they were so simple. I think the Philippines was definitely even more simple, but I felt like they weren't judging me for small things. You know what I mean? Like just the things that would truly matter, like a character as a person and not just like these physical things. And they would even put me in check. It was so refreshing hearing them. Like I remember sometimes we would talk about like, oh, we need a new laptop for school. Like I remember mine broke and I had a MacBook Air. And I was about to buy another MacBook Air. And they were like joking around like how expensive that was. And it was refreshing because where I'm from, if I was like not about to spend all my money on a computer I might not be able to afford, I would be like judged for having the lower quality, or you know what I'm trying to say. So like that type of thing. And just, oh my God, I just can't explain it, but just so many things like that. Anyways, it was like same like that in the Philippines, where people looked at you for you. They didn't judge you for the things that you had. I could eat with like, have my leg chilling up. You could just do things that felt like you didn't have to be sitting there like insecure about just the stupidest things. And it was so fun, and life is so much more enjoyable that way. And wow, I learned how privileged I was. I learned how to be a better person, man. Like people there, I think the number one thing is they have time. Like time is really emphasized there. So the thing is, if you need help, people have time to help you, especially if they feel that you're deserving of it. And I feel like Filipinos also have this mentality that like they know what it is like to be in a tough place, and they want to help you if they have the opportunity to, and they believe in that good karma. So, and it's again the time they can spend 5, 10 minutes, hours of their day helping someone else because they're not busy like slaving their life away, and you know what I mean. Versus here, it forces us in this selfish mentality. So it's not like, I'm not trying to bash America, because I just moved back to America and I have a very different perspective now because I'm more open-minded. I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't think I'd ever want to live in America again because of like, gosh, just the lifestyle here, and the people aren't as kind and loving as I felt sometimes in other places. But I realize it's not their fault that they haven't been able to experience what I have and see what I have seen in the world, and just be so open. I guess the thing is, when you travel, you need to go to places and be open, erase what your culture is in, like, comfortable. What is the word I'm thinking of? Like, erase that and just go in it so open-minded and so free, because everything that they're doing there is normal for them. It may not be for you, but you're in a different place. So stop trying to live the same way that is not even making you happy in the first place. And yeah, I could dive a lot deeper in this in another video, because I know I'm already talking a lot. But I think like the number one thing is people are so afraid to follow this calling. Like, again, God is saying this to you for a reason. So it's almost like a disgrace if you just ignore it. When you have this idea pop in your head, it is there for a reason, no matter how unachievable it may seem. You know what I'm trying to say? So if you want it bad enough, you will find a way to do it. The number one thing that people say to, especially Americans, about like traveling or living abroad for a couple months is the money. Bro, first of all, that is just a limiting factor. There are so many ways to make money if you get creative enough and you want it bad enough. 1. 2, it's not even expensive. The cost of living in most places is so much lower. And also, again, you can learn to have to live a little bit below the means or save temporarily to do something big. We're consumerist over here. There's so much stuff we don't need. I only buy something if I need it. When I look at it, even if it's clothes, if I'm not absolutely in love with it and excited to wear it, then I'm not going to wear it. Like, I'm not going to buy it. You know, and I've also seen what real poverty is like. Trust me, you don't need all these things that you think you need. And when you get there, it's just like you don't need to stay in this nicest hotel, or just like you can do a little bit of digging. There's a lot of exchange programs that you can volunteer, a couple hours of work, like World Packers, for free accommodation or free food. There's just like, come on, you can live simply. Or why is your idea of a vacation spending literally like 3 to 5 grand on a 4 day trip to Cancun or Bahamas that's so Americanized, these specific spots? It's all inclusive. You don't have to, it's free food, like buffet food and drinks. I'm like, you are just paying to lay out in the sun and have like free drinks, not free, but inclusive everything. I'm like, you're not even, you're just resting. You're not experiencing what it actually like to travel. If you were to go and take that same 3 grand, I could literally make that last for 3 months in the Philippines. Like it's just, or anywhere else. Because you have to DIY. You have to put in a little effort to figure it out yourself if you want to actually have, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's not that hard to save money. I don't know why people struggle so much to save money. I know, because that's the thing. America is expensive. When you step outside America, things aren't like it is here. So I know it's scary. It's like, how do I take this time off work? Blah, blah. Like, you'll figure it out if you want it bad enough, especially if you just go and you have a taste. Because the other thing is, I'm telling you, I think it's like the burnout. When I'm here in America and I've like been times where I burned out, you don't even care to try to hustle and to come up with new ideas because you are just dragging along. Once you take a little break and you get a taste of what it's like somewhere else, it's so rewarding and you are refreshed. You have this passion. Like the day I was so burnt out in Michigan and I go to Miami and I was like, all these ideas in my head. Like I started coaching. I started my own business with coaching kids and just like a kids program. I'm like, oh, I can do this. I'm gonna start, like, I'm gonna get certified. I got certified to coach nutrition. I did my like 2 courses to do level 2 in CrossFit. Like I was motivated. I'm like, okay, like what else can I do? Like, let's go. And I was doing all these side hustles, like selling stuff. And then I got burnt out. Then I went to the Philippines, and the first day I touched down, I'm seeing these local kids like they are so happy with so little. They're playing games, you know, the game you play with like literally your flip-flops, because they don't have toys to go and buy. And I'm like, here we are complaining if we don't have this Nintendo Switch, blah, blah, blah. And it was so inspiring. And I'm like, okay, I want to start a GoFundMe. I want to do this for the kids. I'm going to sell ice cream at the bridge as a street vendor. And I did that. And I started vlogging. I started businesses like from in here. Started coaching like online. And it's just like you get so, yeah, whatever. And then because you are like refreshed, you are in an environment where you are thriving around like-minded people who are supporting you, who are just real freaking people, dude. So kind and genuine. Like these Filipinos taught me how to, again, seriously, just like love, you know, what it's like to actually be selfless. I would have friends who have nothing, who are willing to give you what it is that they have or split it. Like I can't tell you how many times I would go, like sometimes I'd buy like one hard-boiled egg at the Sari store before, like on dragon boat training, we had a rowing team and it was all locals. So I remember if I had 1 or 2 eggs, or you bring 1 orange, you will split that orange in between all 10 slices so everybody can have a piece. And it's not just me who would do that, it was everybody else. And then it opened my eyes for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna do that next time too. You know, like people would just give the little things that they had. And it's like, oh, they just caught some fish and now they're cutting kini lao, like some food, grilling it. They're offering everyone in who is literally in the site to come and eat. And it's just like so beautiful. Americans wouldn't, it's just not really what you do here in our culture. It's just so different. You know what I mean? So being back, I was again a little bit like, I had this bias about America that I wasn't so fond of it after experiencing a lot of happiness outside of it. But I came back with a different perspective this time because I see the best of both worlds. There's a lot of pros and cons. Of course, I've experienced a lot of cons there in the Philippines, or Miami as well, but it's just, you know, like not every day not everything is going to have all these good things. You know, I think it's about what you choose to see. If you choose to see good in the world, that's what you're going to see and that's what you're going to receive. But sometimes you just have to take a little step back and really self-reflect, because again, we're always changing and growing. So there's times where I'm like, okay, God, what is it that I want to level up in my life? And I'm like, all right now I feel like this period of my life I was being really selfish with my time and my work, and that's okay because it got me to where I'm at now. But I'm ready to put more effort into relationships and to be a better person. I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I want to work on that. Being humble enough and reflective enough to admit some flaws instead of either dwelling on it or just having this ego. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay, accept that you were like sometimes I'm like, ew, like I can't believe I ever did that or said that. But we all, you know what I mean? We all mess up. So it's just like taking accountability, acting on it. But it's hard to do that when you're stuck in this small town, because I feel like people will remember you do all these good things and they'll just remember the one bad thing that you did 10 years ago. That's like, bro, you've changed and grew so much after that. You know what I mean? So when you move somewhere else, you're not stuck with this small town mentality, and you know what I mean? It's important to keep growing and just live your life, dude. It's not that serious. Life is not that serious. And here in America, it's so serious for no reason. Like, you know what I mean? So being back has been refreshing. Starting to miss the Philippines about some things for sure. I'm also so grateful to be back, having other things I haven't had in a long time and learning something new. So yeah, I'm having a new perspective this time, but I'm kind of in a reverse culture shock, relearning American culture, because again, in Michigan compared to I notice a lot in the bigger states where there's more diversity, there's more opportunity, there's a lot going on. There's beaches, it's warm, there's mountains. Like, I lived in California for a couple months. Same thing in Florida. It's just the environment's better. There's a lot of people doing different things, not just stuck to this literal 9 to 5 office job. So it's inspiring, and people there are like happier, healthier, doing more things. You know what I mean? So me being back in Michigan, I'm like, okay, I'm just reflecting, and I don't know what my next move is yet, but for once I'm really ready to spend a bit more time with family after learning how important that is in the Philippines, and knowing that I feel like, yeah, I've been away from my family for 7 years, so it's about time for me to step up and help. My dad needs a lot of surgeries that I need to be around to help take care of my sister with, help find her a full-time caregiver because she's handicapped. And you know, it feels really good to come back and do things with my family that growing up you're like embarrassed to do here in America. Certain things like, no, I don't want to do this with my family. Ugh. Like, it's like a chore to go to a family party. But I've learned that like my family has loved and supported me with everything I did. And even though we might have not been super, super close for many reasons, a lot of the American lifestyle, we're all so busy with our own thing. I'm like, for once, I have a little bit of time. I have new eyes. I have very new eyes. And I want to take everything I learned in the Philippines, the cultural things, the good things I learned, bring it here and apply it so I can, just spread some love here, and until I'm able to visit there again or go do something else. But I'm just so grateful for my experiences that I had abroad. The Filipinos who have quite literally changed my perspective on life, and always encouraging me to, do good things and to help out when someone else needs it. So yeah, that's like a little life update, background experience. So yeah, I mean, that video was a lot of talking. But anyways, if there's other topics you want me to go deeper on, I would love for you guys to comment below in the section. Let me know if anything I said really resonated with you. Yeah, and let's just keep things positive. Love you guys, and stay tuned for the next video.